Hey, Deftwise-Zero here. Look, I found Jean Munson.
Oh my gosh, David.w.media here at the Plot Twist Publishing booth.
Hey, a wide cut.
Good morning, I'm Jean Munson at the Plot Twist Publishing booth here at the Vegas Valley Comic Festival. I'm going to show you the crew that's behind here selling our comics, and they're also local writers and artists in town who are awesome and amazing and creative. We have Coy Munson taking the money, but also chief editor for the newest books. We have Shane Wally here. He was a writer for the children's book. You should read it, Heroes and Goblins, great story. All right, coming around here is our colorist. Actually, he's kind of our MacGyver of Plot Twist Publishing, graphic designer, colorist, writer.
I don't know this person, please help.
His name is Waleed Atshi. He's our go-to graphic designer. So coming to the front is Mark Otto. He wrote in both anthologies.
Hello, I'm Mark.
Mark Otto.
How's it going?
This is Vincent Pizarro. He's a writer and artist for the horror anthology Tomb of Terror. What inspired me to become a comic writer? I've been reading comics as a kid, mostly the Sunday paper with its Sunday comics and manga. And I wanted to create comics where it featured real people. And I also created Plot Twist Publishing to feature real artists and writers who are local in town and kicking butt. So we came together as of last year. We used to just be people hanging out. And as this year, we've opened up our circle to accommodate more writers and artists. And now we have 2 full-color comic anthologies, and it still goes back to the basic message I had when I was a kid. It's to keep creating stories that feature people in diverse ways. So my first work is Pushover Comics. It is the dark side of Catholic school. And in manga, you always see like a social hierarchy of like a love triangle and rich versus poor. I wanted to portray in Pushover student idealism and dealing with self-esteem at a raw way for high schoolers, and it became a 4-part series. I worked on it alone as the inker, writer, artist, all those jobs in it, and it took me about a year per book, but it's fully published at different local comic shops in town and Writer's Block, which is a local writer bookstore in town too. So our latest work as a group, we made Tomb of Terror, which is a adult horror book, and we made Illuminite's Enchantrix. Now initially this was supposed to be a scary children's story, but it expanded to something far bigger than that. We got so many entries, we turned it into 2 different books. It took a year process. We put up the call for the books in January. We've been working at it through October, formatting, collecting art. It's a lot harder than it looks in its small package, but the stories are rewarding and the people who worked on it are phenomenal. After Pushover 2, since that was my main focus, is working on comics built for women readers, I partnered up with an author in Compton, California, and we made a coming-of-age story called The Magic Glasses. I'm the illustrator for the first time. After several years of working by myself, now I have to wear different hats in 2017 as opposed to when I started in 2010. So I get to be publisher, I get to talk to businesses to distribute our comic, and just being the artist and really keeping genuine true to how a Latina is portrayed in comics. Instead of being stereotypical, I had to do my own research, you know, about what home life is with them, what kind of struggles they do in order to depict it. I mean, it's so different just being one job and several jobs in Plot Twist Publishing. So today I dressed up as Cartman from South Park. The reason I did that today, one inside joke, you know, because I'm in a group of dudes, but even though I'm in a group of dudes that I work with, I'm kind of the really spunky, kind of hard ass in the group, so that's why I wore Cartman today.
My goodness, because I was just thinking that as well, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Oh, that would probably insult her.
No, yes, it's a compliment if you can figure out. I tried to wear the little South Park thing to be like, yes, I am deliberately dressing up as Cartman today.
Oh.
We created Plot Twist Publishing mostly because we have a huge story arc that we wanted to do. It's still under wraps, but all these smaller anthologies are leading up to that to really groom our writers and artists in town to have comic minds in order to get to task, because a lot of the people who do contribute, this is their first time penciling or inking or putting word balloons, and a lot of my staff who is experienced in doing that, we stepped up to help facilitate in different areas that they were weak in, like coloring. We had to pick up that task. Making comics isn't just being an artist, it's a 7-part job. You either do all 7 jobs or you are broken into a 7-part team. I would say the greatest plot twist, the guys would probably differ, is Impressions, because the message to Impressions is to not give up in being an artist because there's so many factors telling you to. It's not your typical comic book cover with someone breaking through the page, but the message in Impressions is so deep and so powerful for a person who's considering giving up on art. And that's why we made this kind of anthem to be like, no, this is the message. Plot Twist is a safe space for creating, and it's all summarized in Impressions. The future of Plot Twist Publishing is to continue to make more books in different genres, maybe in just also novel format and graphic novel format. And we also want to make sure we open up a brick and mortar, maybe in the next 1 to 2 years, that can be a classroom bookstore, so they can learn and make comics, and that's continually going. And it'll be the place where all these creatives who do that kind of work have a home and have a refuge to do that kind of work. So I just want to thank Deftwise-Zero for giving Plot Twist a place to speak and be who we are as creatives. We throw the same love to David. If you want to follow us, just merely go on Plot Twist Publishing on Facebook and follow Deftwise-Zero, because they're doing great work around the community behind that camera.